Welcome to your online classes. Dear students, today we will study about the chapter The Dinner Party. This story revolves around a dinner party and an issue that becomes a point of discussion between the men and the women folk. It happened in India and the party was given by a colonial official and his wife. They have invited other guests also, and in the guest list there were army officers, government attaches, and their wives, an American naturalist, and the party was held in their spacious dining room where rafters were there. Wide glass doors were also there, which were opening onto a veranda. Let's read the chapter to find out what discussion occurred at the party. The country is India. A colonial official and his wife are giving a large dinner party. They are seated with their guests, army officers and government attaches, and their wives, and a visiting American naturalist in their spacious dining room, which has a bare marble floor, open rafters, and wide glass doors opening onto a veranda. Now, this party occurred in India, where a colonial official and his wife, they are giving a large dinner party, and they were sitting in their guest room, where army officers, government attaches means people who work at embassies with the special responsibilities for particular area of activities, and their wives, and one visiting American naturalist. Naturalist means a person who studies animals, plants, birds, and other living things. They gave this party in their spacious, very large dining room, which has a bare marble floor. Marble floor was there with open rafters. Rafter means sloping pieces of wood that support a roof, and wide glass doors which were opening to a veranda. A spirited discussion springing up between a young girl who insists that women have outgrown the jumping on a chair at the sight of a mouse era, and a colonel who says that they haven't. A woman's unfailing reaction in any crisis, the colonel says, is to scream. This energetic discussion started between a young girl who says that women have outgrown. Now they have grown up and they have developed from that era where they were scared at the sight of a mouse, and now they are courageous. But a colonel who was sitting next says that no, I don't agree. The women have not developed and they are not bold enough. They are still like that. He further says that a woman's unfailing reaction means constant reaction in any crisis, in any problem, is to scream. That whenever they see any problem, then they shout at the problem. Colonel further says that, and while a man may feel like it, he has that ounce more of nerve control than a woman has, and that last ounce is what counts. Colonel says that when men feel any kind of crisis, then he had nerve control more than a woman has, and that counts. That's important. The American does not join in the argument but watches the other guest. As he looks, he sees a strange expression come over the face of the hostess. She is staring straight ahead, her muscles contracting slightly. With a slight gesture, she summons the native boy standing behind her chair and whispers to him. The boy's eyes widen and he quickly leaves the room. Of the guests, none except the American notices this, or sees the boy place a bowl of milk on the veranda just outside the open doors. The American knew that in India, milk in a bowl means only one thing: bait for a snake. He realizes there must be a cobra in the room. He looks up at the rafters, the likeliest place, but they are bare. 3 corners of the room are empty. And in the fourth, the native boys are waiting to serve the next course. There is only one place left under the table. His first impulse is to jump back and warn the others, but he knows the commotion would frighten the cobra into striking. He speaks quickly, the tone of his voice so arresting that it sobers everyone. In the party, there was an American naturalist also, who does not join in the argument, but he was observing other guests. And as he was observing, he suddenly notices that the hostess, the lady who had organized the party, she was staring straight ahead and her muscles were contracting slightly. And with a slight gesture and sign, she called a native boy. Native boy means the helper. So that helper who was standing behind her chair, she called him and whispers to him. And the boy's eyes were widened and he quickly left the room. And this thing was noticed by nothing else. And American noticed that the boy placed a bowl of milk on the veranda just outside the open door. The American knew that in India, milk in a bowl means only one thing: bait for a snake. Bait means food put to catch animals or thing used to attract something or some animal. The American realizes there must be a cobra in the room. So he looks up at the rafters, the most common place, but they were bare. There was nothing. And the three corners of the room are also empty. And in the fourth, the native boys were standing. So there was only one place left under the table. His first reaction was to jump back and give warning to other guests. But he also understood that if I create any confusion or commotion here, then this cobra would be frightened, and out of fear it can bite some guest also. So he speaks quickly. The tone of his voice was so arresting that it sobers everyone. So his voice was attracting and everybody listened to his voice. The American said, I want to know just what control everyone at this table has. I will count 300. That's 5 minutes. And not one of you is to move a muscle. Those who move will forfeit 50 rupees. Ready? Now American told everybody that he wanted to play a game, and in this game he wanted to check the controlling power of a person, and he would count up to 300 and nobody should have to move his or her muscles. And if anyone moves his muscle, then he had to pay the fine of 50 rupees. The 20 people sit like stone images while he counts. He is saying 280. Then out of the corner of his eyes, he sees the cobra emerge and slither out of the room. Screams ring out as he jumps to slam the veranda door safely shut. Now the American started counting, and the 20 people sit like stone images when he was counting. And when he reached up to 280, then suddenly one cobra came out and it moved towards the door. And when the cobra reaches at the door, the American shut the door completely, and everybody at the table, they screamed loudly, they shouted loudly to see the cobra. You were right, Colonel, the host exclaims. A man has just shown us an example of perfect control. Just a minute, the American says, turning to his hostess. Miss Vince, how did you know that cobra was in the room? A faint smile lights up the woman's face as she replies, because it was crawling across my foot. The host explains that, Colonel, you were right, that man can control more than a woman, and this man has just shown the example. But the American said, just a minute, sir. And he asked the hostess, that Mrs. Wynne, how did you know that there was a cobra in the room? Because the American had observed the hostess calling the helper to bring a bowl of milk for the cobra so that he can go outside. Mrs. Wynne smiled and she said, because it was crawling across my foot. Now, this statement proves that that young lady was right, that women have outgrown and now they are no more scared of the mouse, and they can control more than anyone else. So, this is the end of the chapter, The Dinner Party. Hope you have enjoyed this and have learned a moral that women are not inferior, they are equal to men. So, we should respect women. Thanks for watching.